Today we're doing another episode of our Swap Out series, and this time we're swapping out Ragnar Anchorage from the Battlestar Galactica miniseries with its first Cylon War iteration, the Daidalos Mobile Shipyard. While it is technically the same structure, the miniseries version had been stripped down and left unmaintained. So we'll see what it could have done had it been secretly upkept all those years. So without further ado, so in our scenario, the fully equipped Daidalos has replaced the largely forgotten Ragnar Anchorage, and if you want to know more about it, I would suggest you watch Space Talk's video about it. But for our purposes, here's a few major points to focus on. First of all, it's mobile, an absolute necessity for the fleet, considering they're on the run from the Cylon forces. With emergency onboard Tilium supplies and a triple spool jump drive, it'll be able to keep up no matter how often the fleet has to jump. Secondly, it's a fully equipped shipyard, as its name would imply, so it'll be able to maintain and repair both civilian ships and the Galactica herself in between battles. It could potentially even build new vessels should they mine enough materials or scrap irreparable ships. And thirdly, it was massive at 5.5 kilometers in height, perfect to be a central hub for the fleeing population. While normally crewed by just 2,000, the 3-kilometer wide habitation rings could easily house a large chunk of, if not all of the remaining 50,000 survivors. And on a small side note, it has a large command and control suite complete with long-range sensors and communications equipment. All this would have vast ramifications on the focus and structure of the fleet, most immediately making the mobile shipyard just as, if not more important than Colonial 1 or Galactica herself. The station, while not combat-worthy in the face of constant Cylon threats, would still provide any damaged or disabled ships with a safe harbor, one that could keep up with the fleet. This would be very helpful as it would allow ships with disabled FTL drives or otherwise short-duration vessels not to be left behind, and not slow down the fleet's exodus, which caused many problems throughout the original timeline. Having the bulk of the remaining human population and key industrial capabilities all in the same structure would make it a priority target for both the Galactica to defend and the Cylons to destroy. Should Galactica continue to keep the Daidalos intact, the fleet could very easily begin to diminish in numbers as other vessels were scrapped, permanently docked to the shipyard, or simply destroyed by Cylons in an attack. Only those that would need to stay fully mobile would be left out, such as mining ships or military vessels. One of the earliest events that would have shifted would have been from the aftermath of the battle at the Tilium asteroid. Though the battle itself would have been a victory still, all the salvage materials and equipment from the mining facility could have been used more directly by the Daidalos to speed up repairs of vessels and potentially start building new Vipers even before the Pegasus. With these additional military and material resources, battles would be far more recoverable and more in their favor. And thanks to strategic scale comms and sensors, it's much more likely they would have found the Pegasus far sooner as well, bringing the fleet up to 2 Battlestars in strength within a month or two, instead of the original 6. Having both Battlestars would again shift the dynamics of the fleet, likely having the Galactica stay primarily as a defensive force near or docked to the Daidalos, allowing the Pegasus to function in a more aggressive role, regardless of its leadership. Having Pegasus launching offensive operations with a fully capable home base instead of running solo would help to slow down the pursuing Cylon forces even further, giving them more time to find a safe location. A bit later in the series, once we get to the Battle of Cobol, having both Battlestars available would allow Pegasus to directly engage the defending base stars instead of a lone Raptor feigning capture. You're probably starting to see a running theme here. Pretty much every major issue or shortcoming the fleet would encounter, having the Daidalos would in some way stop or mitigate the damages caused by it. In the long run, it would end up saving the Galactica herself, functioning in her intended role as a Battlestar dry dock, allowing her to be given a complete overhaul when her structural defects were inevitably found. Heck, the Daidalos could even jump the Galactica should she ever be too damaged to do so herself. One possible and incredibly speculative direction it could go would be that the fleet would simply give up trying to find Earth and decide it's better to make the jumping station humanity's new home, kind of reminiscent of Alpha from the City of 1,000 Planets, which is also a mobile city in space. But being honest, that would be highly unlikely. I could go more in depth about the specific changes the Daidalos could have had on the series should people request it enough, perhaps even make a short series of it. So did I get this swap right? Totally missed the mark. If you would like to see more of the Daidalos swap series or breakdowns on a future episode, go ahead and comment below. Thanks for watching today's episode, I certainly hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe for more content, and remember, this was your first pass at the Daidalos swapping with a Ragnar.